All right, what's up, fellas? We on tonight. We got Coach Raccuia on. Coach was my coach, Reggie's coach, Rav's coach, 2006 to 2010, I think. I think around that time frame, 2007, 2010. I think that's when we were in there. We appreciate you coming on this evening. Tonight, we got some recruiting conversations we're gonna have. We want to touch on some things I think that'll be valuable for a lot of the younger generation as far as what to look for, what you guys look for. But from there, Rap, take it home.
Well, first of all, I ain't got to call you coach. You ain't my coach no more. I'll call you what I want to call you. I'm going to call you just nah. Let's get it started with this. I think the biggest elephant in the room, I know, especially for me, being removed from the game itself and wanting to participate in the game as much as possible, going into the coaching sphere of things. Give me your take on travel baseball, like what it is, what was it at one point in time, and what you think it'll be moving forward. Like, how is it impacting college baseball, and what are you seeing at the highest level too in the professional leagues?
Well, Raf, first of all, this is pretty cool what you guys are doing, and being your former college coach. To see three guys that want to stay involved in baseball and help baseball is kind of what I hope that you guys that all my players love baseball as much as you did and had a good experience and wanted to give your information out to the public, whether it be players or parents or what have you. I think this is really neat. So I'm humbled to be on here with you. I don't care how many people watch, just to be able to talk baseball with my former players. And as you guys know, guys like you three that I adore and love, I think you guys know that. It's really cool. And, my experiences, I'm a 50-year-old man at this point. And, I'm on the back end, I think, of my career, starting to turn the but the bottom line is the game is evolving. It's still the same game. You still got to score runs. You still got to prevent runs. But the athletes are different. Number one, they're different. They're stronger. They're faster. They throw harder. They hit the ball harder. Exit velocities are harder. The equipment's better. Everything is better about the game within the athlete, but the game might not be better. The way it's played, everybody has stronger, but the fundamentals aren't the same. And I'm not trying to be negative. I think we all discussed that. I think you guys see it yourselves. You ask a kid to go in a cage and bunt, they don't even know how to hold the bat, and you ask a kid to turn double play, they don't know how to, they don't know how. They know how to run faster, hit the ball harder, and throw the ball harder. That's what they know how to do.
Showcase guys.
Yeah. In travel baseball, let's be honest, travel baseball, it's huge. It's a multi-million-dollar business. This is not amateur baseball. This is a business. And there are teams that are growing, companies, groups, whatever you call it, organizations that are growing, that start with one team. You look up 5 years from now and they've got 20 teams. Some teams are good, some teams are not good. There's no players that are ever hidden. Travel baseball has helped the fact that everybody's getting exposed.
Is that good or is that bad?
That's good. That's a good part. Everybody's getting seen. Okay, there are no, even in the scouting world. Like I'm now an amateur scout with the Mets. There's no, hey, I got a guy stashed in, Southwest Virginia, and no other scout knows about him. Not true. Okay, so same thing in travel ball. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows the players. Now the problem is you're not comparing them against the same type of talent, because you go to see them play and it's one good team and 5 bad teams, and you don't get to see them play against the right competition. So there's.
I want to ask you.
Go ahead, Todd.
Is there such thing as overexposure? So, kid goes to play in every PG event that there is, right? And you see him for the first time. You really like some of his tools, but then he comes back to the PBR event the next week, and then he's at the next PG event the next week, and then he just kind of walks all the way down the circuit. Now you've got a chance to critique him heavily, where if you would have just saw him the first time, you would have got a sample size of him, and he could have popped in, popped out, and then you would have just had to do your job and go see him at his high school. Is there such thing as overexposure?
Oh yeah, in college, when you're recruiting in college, you're making a quick decision, because you don't want other schools to beat you to the punch. You don't want to be late in the process. You don't want to say to the kid, "Hey, I want to see you again," but meanwhile, 2 other rival schools are ready to make offers. So now on the pro side of it, yeah, we have a tendency to like to slice and dice guys up, and we want to tell you what he can't do when we should be telling you what he can do. But again, big difference. I mean, if you're looking at a high school kid at a 4-year school, you usually have to pay him good money to skip college and go to professional baseball. So in reality, I'm spending anywhere from $250,000 to multi-million-dollar contract or signing bonus to sign a guy. So we want to be thorough. But there is a point to where, I've seen players, and the industry may tell you he's a first-round pick, and now my bias says, how do I make him a second-round pick? I don't like what everybody else liked or what have you. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into the equation, and overexposure is one of them. Especially, and you guys think about this, if whether it's a coach or a family that wants to push the envelope on a kid too soon, okay? You want to take a 15-year-old and play him in a really good tournament, and he can't compete or he can't hold his own, even though he's a good prospect. But what we go off of is what we've seen. Sometimes we don't always take into equation he was 15. An assistant college baseball coach that sees that player has to go into the office and justify it to his head coach and say he was overmatched, but he's 15. So
you,
what
exactly? It's not like you're gonna make that same excuse for him when he's playing against a 2-year JUCO guy that's just transferred over to a 4-year school. Like, we got to give him time. Maybe we can keep that other guy on the bench. He's playing against. It's not the same. I think you're absolutely right. Go ahead.
I'll give you an example. My son, you guys know, Joey's 16 years old, and he can defend, and he can throw okay. He's got a soft bat right now. It's going to get better. He ran a 5.0 down the line. He's 16. But the problem is, any coach that saw him clicked the thing and wrote down 5.0. And then they got to make a decision on a 16-year-old based off the fact that he's already gained 15 pounds in the last couple months. That's going to get stronger. He lifts hard. He's doing all the right stuff for speed training. But the moment you expose yourself, it's all out there. And sometimes, the projection stuff, we want to project. Projection ain't easy. Projection might be the hardest thing that we can ever possibly think about. Think about guys that you've played with, that you heard were on more scholarship money than you. Think about guys that have gotten drafted higher than you could possibly get drafted, or you thought. It's all projection, and at that point, we all think we're smart. We ain't that smart. We make a lot of mistakes.
Right. You know what? Let's play on that. I like the way the conversation is going. Kind of leads me into my next question. So when we're looking at recruiting now, and as heavily regarded as the travel ball sector is, in terms of projecting a guy and what is he going to do at the next level. What are you saying? Projecting a guy, what he's going to do at the next level. What role does travel baseball play versus high school in the sense of how much more are you giving travel baseball more respect and more regard when it comes to, okay, this guy's going to come to my school versus going to his high school games and seeing him play there? Or is there a difference?
Well, you see him more in the travel league team. So, look, there's 4 college coaches on a Division I staff. And in the spring, you've got 56 games. And the high school season starts April 1st or whenever it starts, middle of March, early March, whatever it may be. And there's a short window, but we're in the middle of playing games. Coaches are trying to play games, and that kid plays on a Tuesday, and you coach on a Tuesday. Like my philosophy was always take care of your own players. And, my coaches didn't miss games. Man, when I went to Alabama, that was the first agreement my boss and I made was I don't want to miss games. But meanwhile, all the other SEC assistants were missing games to go recruiting. My thing was, I'm not missing games. You want me to be just a recruiter, then I might as well get into scouting at that age. So I'm not missing games. So you run into, okay, you'll see him in high school games. You never know who you see him against. Could be a bad club when you run into him. So you're evaluating a hitter against 68 miles an hour to 72. I think you got to evaluate the player where you can see other players too, where you're comparing and being able to understand what he's up against and if he can compete at a higher level. So most of that time it happens in travel ball. But I'll be honest with you, the more guys I work with in instruction, they tell me that they're seeing better pitching now in high school than they are playing out in travel ball because there's so many tournaments. Right. Everybody's on a travel ball team.
Man, it's interesting. Go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Reggie, but I thought you did a tremendous job with those questions. I think you gave some insight that a lot of people need to hear, and some things I didn't even realize too.
Yeah, that was some good stuff. Hey, Coach. So I'm gonna take this thing in a different direction, right? And us three playing, for you. You got to, kind of see how we developed over the course of 3 years. The name of the show or podcast is called Hittas, right? I truly believe that all 3 of us were good hitters when it came to the game of baseball, right? And so I want to go to hitting and what your philosophy and your approach is, what you taught. Let's go back then, college, and then has it changed? Has it evolved over the years to now where you're, a professional scout?
Yeah, I mean this you might want to record this for the next 10 hours, and we can keep going on it. It always makes me kind of chuckle when you guys talk about what I taught years ago or what you heard years ago, and it's different. And why did you do that to me? Why did you say that? Look, 10 years from now, let's have this conversation, and I bet you speak a different language. You have different experiences with hitters. Young hitting coaches, it's easy to get stuck on mechanics, okay?
Agreed.
Because those are easy to teach. Do this, not this. It's easy to teach. It's hard to coach the individual. And the older I get, the better I got at coaching individuals. And in college, you only have a certain amount of time. So you get 20 hours a week, and then you get, during the course of the practice, you only get an hour and a half to work with hitters. And now there's 18 hitters or 7, whatever it is. You're not getting enough time. Then you're doing small group work with 4 guys at a time, and you don't want to do one-on-ones because there's 18 hitters, and you'd be working harder in the off season than you are in the season. So, and you got to recruit, and you got to do all those other things. But yeah, my vocabulary has changed, only because I've learned more. I'm viewed as an old school guy, and I'm not even close to that when it comes to baseball. I chuckle when people think I'm hard headed about hitting, because I'm not. Because I adjust. I do different things. I read books on skill acquisition. I read books on biomechanics. I've watched videos. I learn from other guys. I follow a lot of people on Twitter. I listen to you guys talk. Even if you guys are saying something I may not disagree with or may not agree with, it's going in my head. It's getting into my head to say, okay, why did he feel like that? Is he right? Am I wrong? So as you can tell, I'm probably getting excited about talking about this. But
Go ahead, give us an example.
Yeah. So this is social media is absolutely crazy. Okay, and
no, I think it's Reggie. I want to vomit every time I pull up and watch this hidden Twitter stuff.
So,
yeah.
So we have a lot of people know like the linear approach, right? And then the rotational piece. Where do you stand on those two?
First of all, your body does the same. Your body does
hybrid.
both.
Okay.
Yeah, your body does both.
I agree with that.
When you're loading and striding and whatever vocabulary you want to use, getting in position to hit, getting in a launch position. To me, the most important thing is where you swing from. I don't care about most of the time. If you can get your body in the right position to swing from a good spot, then you can talk about knob down, knob up, reverse the barrel. You can talk about steep. You can talk about whatever you want. But if you would just get your body in position to deliver the proper sequence, if you're in a good position with your lower half, it's going to rotate. Okay. Now, one thing I noticed is youth hitters don't rotate very well.
Correct.
Okay. You guys all know that, being hitting coaches and in coaching. Professional athletes all rotate exceptionally well. That's why when you work with a young kid, you're teaching them how to rotate. When you work with a professional athlete, which I've done for 2 years, they don't want anything to do with their lower half. Like, you don't even have to address it. They just want to make swing adjustments with their upper half. Because if their lower half was bad, they'd never have been able to impact a 96-mile-an-hour fastball consistently. So, yeah, it's different. All these guys on Twitter, and a lot of them are really bright guys. It's kind of funny because they're all speaking the same language. They just want to make their own statements.
It's theory.
About, who's right, who's wrong.
Right.
And it's their business, right? McDonald's has a different advertising than Burger King.
No, them burgers taste different.
It's the same burger.
Them some different burgers. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No doubt. Stay slow. We don't want that.
So, Coach, I remember a game, and I guess for me, my philosophy, like it clicked sophomore year, when you guys were talking about hard hit ground balls turn into hard line drives, and hard line drives turn into home runs, right? Being okay with dropping the ball as hard as you can across the ground, staying on top of a ball, right? Getting on top, staying through it, middle backside, right? And for me, it made sense because we're starting with our hands high. We got to get down to point of contact. Ball is going to be in the strike zone, which is lower than where our hands start, okay? And when I heard that, it kind of clicked for me. And I tell my guys now a story. When we played at Presbyterian, junior year, god-awful season for me, honestly. It was the worst season that I had in my career, right? I think I was hitting a $153 midway. You were hitting me 8th or 9th in the lineup, okay? Presbyterian, I come up in the game, nobody on, no outs, leadoff guy. You know what you did? You remember that? Nobody on, no out.
I bet I know what he did. Did he make you hit and run?
Hit and run. You gave me the hit and run, right? And I looked at you. I gave you a face like, I'm the leadoff dude. What you doing? Ain't nobody on base. And you said, effing do it. You ain't say effing. But
I didn't say that. No. Remember, I didn't say that.
Don't do that to that man.
It's okay. It's okay because you know what? I did. I hit a hard ground ball through the 4-hole. And from there, I think I looked back at you and you went like this. There it is, right? I think what you were trying to get me to do is just get back to my approach, right? My approach was just driving the ball hard across the ground, staying on top of the ball. I ended the season hitting 330, went on an absolute tear, right? And so now I'm such a believer in that approach because I know where I went when my approach went south. Dude, I was trying to hit balls far and not strike out to start of my junior year.
But here's the thing, Reggie, and I don't mean to disagree because it's your swing thought. It's your approach. But your approach may not be good for another hitter.
Right.
So it is, when you look at you three guys, and I've been thinking about it for the last 5 minutes, Reggie, your ball to bat skills were elite. Okay? Mm-hmm. So when you look at all three of you guys, I know now I would have coached you differently if I knew then what I know now. Ty, we know what Ty's issue was. He could not make good decisions on the breaking ball. Okay, which guys in the big leagues have trouble making decisions on the breaking ball. So, in Raf, you were a tinkerer. Okay, so you wanted something different every day. You wanted try something different here and do something different there. And you're all good players. You were all really good players, but you all had different things. Now, when you're a tinkerer like Raf, you're always in arguments with those guys because you're trying to figure out how to coach them. Now, I would put him in a box a little bit and, stabilize him with not letting him talk like that. Ty, I would have changed you overnight with swing disciplines and machines to be able to challenge your decision making. And Reggie, I would have said, you're always going to have ball to bat skills. Now we got to figure out how to really impact the baseball. Okay. But when you're trying to win games,
you got time for all that.
Sometimes it's harder. No, you want to figure out how you're going to do it. But there's all these routes that you want to go with hitters. And if you want to get into data and analytics or Rapsodo or Blast or TrackMan, let me tell you something. Those things are good. Like, they're stupid good, okay? They do not make you a better hitter. They allow the coach the information to make sure he is attacking something that needs to be attacked, okay? Because our eyes lie to us in the batting cage. Hey, good swing. You're hitting flips.
Oh, man, come on. Say that again, okay? Coach. It's not the same.
No, and that's why, like I talked about skill acquisition, like you need to stress the player to see if the move can stabilize itself and hold itself. Like, and you need to stress it daily to see if what you're doing can work. Like we had a thing with the Mets where, if we, on June 1st, we said, okay, with Ty Rivers, we're going to work on swing decisions. He's really chasing the breaking ball too much. So we would figure out a plan for that, and we would give it 30 days to see if the numbers were getting better. If you had a 40% chase rate on it, if it got down to 32%, we're getting it better. So we're on the right track, okay? But, I coached a guy last year that's now in the big leagues in Vientos, and I spent a lot of time with Mark. And one of the things was the breaking ball out of the zone. But if you went in the cage and watched him hit, you would think his hole was up in the zone and he was good down. When you looked at all the data, he was good in the top of the zone and bad down. Okay? So if you're watching him swing, you're like, hey, man, we really got to work on high tee and rise fastballs. And it wasn't true. That's where he was really good in games. The game information tells you everything. That's where the biggest problem occurs, Raph, is the game tells you what to work on, not practice.
I was just talking about that the other day. It's like the empirical evidence is right in front of you, but people don't realize that. Like that literally. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But you don't have sample size in high school.
Nope.
That's the biggest problem. You know who the best data and analytics person is for a youth player? The parents and the kid. If they can chart where, okay, I swung at these pitches, they were fastballs or break them, and then they can go back to the hitting coach and give him something. So it's like going to see a doctor. So if you walked in to the doctor's office with your son, okay, we all have kids, and he says, I don't feel well. What's bothering you? I don't know, everything. Well, guess what he's going to do? He's going to test everything. But if he goes in and he says, hey, right here hurts. My sinuses, I think, my nose area. Well, that's where he knows where the issue is then. So players and parents don't even have to know the game. But they can say, hey, in his last 40 at-bats, he's hit 30 flares or 30 pop-ups to short right field. Right then, you know where to work. We know that he's under the ball, pulling off, whatever it may be, skimming or clipping the ball. I don't know, anything. But at least it gives you somewhere to go.
I feel like you're on to something very beneficial for people to hear this evening, because me working with a lot of kids and being involved with a lot of parents, oftentimes we get real egotistical. We just tend to just push off the parent, right? Where the parent has, like you just said, the parent knows their kid the best, and they have the best information out there for you. It's just they don't oftentimes bring you the right information. If I'm dealing with like one of my better athletes, they generally will come and tell you exactly what they saw, and then we can we could dissect that. But if you're dealing with someone, like a younger athlete, the parent typically doesn't know. But to your point, the parent is the best source of information to be able to give you exactly what you need to take him into the cage or to the field and help.
Let me, if I could jump in there, Joe, just like what you're talking about. And it's kind of like what Joe said. No, hey, what I do? But how are we asking a question to the parents? Can we say, we ask the parent, well, what's going on? What's wrong? And they say, oh, my son is pulling off. He's doing this. He's doing that. I'm like, well, if you got the answer, why are you saying me? Now, don't tell me what he's doing. Tell me what the result of the games, or tell me what's happening within the result of the games, the at-bats. I think, Coach, you said it perfectly. Yo, okay, he's hitting these little balls that don't go anywhere to right field, and he's a righty. Like then you can assess and address that point of what's going on. But
yeah, the everybody says these guys are just swing coaches, right? We're all just swing coaches. Well,
you ain't lying.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're not in the middle of the game. Guess what? The swing coach works with the golfer on the driving range or in the box or whatever it may be. When he leaves, you got the caddy, okay? So really what they need is a swing coach and
now
a
you call
caddy.
the parents caddies.
All right? Yeah. Well, the parents, I welcome the parents when I do lessons. Like I'll go home this week and I'll spend a week and do 15 lessons. I love it. I think it's made me a 10 times better hitting coach. And I'll make sure, like I've heard that there's other coaches out there that don't want parents around the cage when their son's hitting.
Don't agree with it.
And I'm like, no. You know, because they can, if they're they're older, okay? They can soak in the information and they can reiterate things to a kid.
Yep.
Now, is a parent, when he's in there and he's speaking over me, you know me, I just turn around and go, knock it off. Like, if do you want your money back? Do you want to run the lesson? Like one parent I actually brought in the cage said, here, you can run the lesson. They need to be there. They need to understand what they're swinging at. Sometimes the kids,
right.
this, don't know. I mean, there's guys in the big leagues, guys in AA that have walked back to them. What'd you hit? I don't know.
They still on that? Man, we doing
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey man, them be your best swing sometimes though.
So
yes, because you're not thinking. Yeah, because you're not overanalyzing it. Yeah, we've there's a lot of good things out there, and when you guys get into, well, there's too much swing and miss, and there's too many strikeouts, and people are talking about the launch, quote unquote, the launch angle swing or the uphill swing or whatever it may be, give some credit to what's going on the mound. Those guys are so much further ahead than hitters. It's crazy.
Yes, they are.
And not just because they're better, their information, they control the ball. So they know how to spin it. They know how to pitch out of tunnels. They know how to make changes. Okay, well, let's get rid of the 12-6 breaking ball because I want to come out of the same window. Well, they're actually rushing hitters' decisions by doing that. So when you rush a hitter's decisions, they chase and they don't command the strike zone as well, and they guess and they lock up. Yeah, it had nothing to do with the swing.
But doesn't that go towards the approach, though, Coach? Like, if you have an approach, right? If you have a plan, all right? Like, I know what I'm sitting on. I have an estimated guess of what he's going to throw according to what his tendencies are, what he's throwing other batters, how many guys are on base, what the score is, what I've done in previous at-bats. Like, if I have a plan, I'm putting my swing on that pitch, right? Instead of guessing and trying to swing at everything. I think that's like, when we're talking about these swings, you're not really hitting when you're just up there trying to swing at everything. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
well, yeah, I mean that's
a long way.
A long way, yes, a really long way. But you still have to be physical enough to play the game. Like when you go to hit a fastball at 97 miles an hour, that ball's a lot heavier than the ball that's 83 miles an hour. So you better be in your legs, in the ground. You better rotate better. You better have more bat speed. But the old adage is, hey, he's throwing 97. Just stay short and put the bat on it. Well, if you do that, your body and backwards is going to go backwards when you hit the ball. Like, you've got to swing with intent. And you're not going to go into a fight jabbing anybody. You're not going to win the fight. The jab only sets up the knockout punch anyways. So, I get it that you want to. The jab is just you want people. No, the knockout could be a walk. The knockout can be a double. The knockout could be anything. But
why would I want to match? Why would I? This is just more so me and how I approach what I do here at home. Why would I want to match power for power? Because oftentimes you tell a kid to swing with that type of intent that you're referring to. I'm going to be all over the place. I'm not going to be able to control anything I'm doing to ball. So when someone like myself says, hey, let's dial it back a little bit and let's just work on, allowing him to do all of the effort. And on my end, I just really want to focus on making that contact because that ball is going to go regardless. Why would I tell that same kid to give me all you got and, give me one of them daddy hacks? Why would I say that?
Well, the daddy hack and hitting with intent in a short window are two different things. So that can be another long conversation. The guys that in the youth level, when you give them a 3-0 green light, they always miss it. In college, you give them a 3-0 green light. They're always late in hitting the ball oppo, right? Yeah, but until they realize like it's not a huge move you're making, it's a rotational move in a smaller window. It's moving better in a tight space. It's not big. It doesn't mean your swing gets longer. It's still the same swing. It's just a matter of making sure that, you got to teach a guy how to swing the bat with intent. There's not a guy up there in the big leagues that says, hey, let me just spray the ball. They want to try to do damage. Damage could be knocking an infielder over with a line drive, or damage could be a grand slam. It's still damage.
Control violence, right? Like a control violence.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. I mean, look, the harder you hit the ball, the more shot you have at success.
Agreed.
Correct?
Yeah.
Now the fact is we want to hit the ball consistently hard. Okay? Just because your max is one thing, but you're swinging and missing the other 90% of the time, that's not good.
That's scary about that.
But if you got a guy like, I'll give you an example. Reggie would probably be one of them. I would probably say to Reggie, wow, you have elite ball the bat skills, but you're never going to play in the big leagues, so you don't hit the ball hard enough. I mean, we had to tell a kid that last year, 30 years old, that was on the 40-man. All they asked me to do was get him to impact the ball more. And all he did was spray the ball around.
Joe Mauer, huh?
But he's not going to – no, Mauer had power. This guy didn't have power. And he wasn't going to play in the big leagues because he didn't hit the ball hard enough.
So is that a hitting change, or is that like a hits? I don't necessarily think that's all hitting. I feel like that goes more into the strength and conditioning field, because like if you want someone to impact the ball more, you need he's got to train. You're right.
He's got to train differently. He's got to find a way to move differently.
Yeah.
So like I started with Raph, you'll remember this. I started with this guy, and he's 30 years old. He played in the Mexican League, was on the 40-man, played in AAA for a few years. And I just begged him for like a week. Hit the ball as far as you can. Every swing you take to 400. Off the batter's eye. And what I realized is he couldn't do it. He kept spraying the ball to left field and rolling over it to right. He was in a bad position to try to drive the ball. So ultimately, he was so used to contact that he didn't think he needed to change anything. So now when you wanted to go back and change and give him some more damage type, stability or leverage, he couldn't do it.
Man, it sound like to me, you trying to say ain't no room for any more Tony Gwynn's of the game. But I'm just saying, I ain't gonna hold us up. I know Ty.
No. Look, that's a great point. Because I know when I was with the Brewers, right, I was getting hits. But my second year in Appleton, they came to me and they were like, we need to generate more power, right? I wasn't a power hitter, right? But okay, let's just try to figure this thing out, right? So we're going to get stacked. We're going to try to get into the ground more. And I hit a couple more home runs, but I mean, I was still, my goal and my approach was to just hit the 180-foot line drives, try to get it to the gap, maybe get a double, steal bags, right? Okay, so two guys that were the same type of player that I was, they got released out of AA, AAA. So me, I'm thinking to myself, they the same type of player I am, right? Like they releasing these dudes. These dudes getting 100 hits, 130 hits a season. Like what's going on? They still in bags just like I was, okay? Why aren't those guys getting opportunities to go to big leagues when earlier you said the game has kind of changed a little bit? We love the long ball, right? But dudes don't bunt no more in the big leagues. What happened to situational hitting, right? Hit and runs in the big leagues. Like, why aren't we doing more to generate more runs in the big leagues? Like, I feel like it's just all about, hey man, just go out there and hit the ball over the fence. And if we do it, great. If we don't, we'll just finish 60 and 100 and whatever,
Well, velocity is real nowadays. The other thing that's real is the top of the strike zone. Okay. So it's a lot harder to hit and run when fastballs are elevated. Uh, it's a lot harder to hit and run when people throw
That's a good
2-0
point.
breaking balls nowadays. Okay. Like, and that's my subjective opinion. But I will tell you that it's been discussed with people that have the information, and based off the information, the hit and run is just way too dangerous a play in Major League Baseball.
Really?
Telling a hitter,
Oh wow.
oh yeah, what's the value of it? You have to be perfect
It's
to get a guy
true.
to go first to third. If the average play on that is just a ground ball and you move a guy up 90 feet, their point is then just bunt. Uh, but you've also taken away other opportunities to move, or you've now moved the holes and they're not as exposed anymore. But even moving the runner up and telling the hitter to move a runner up, they're saying that there's you might as well just hit and not tell them to move the runner up, because now you're only playing with half the field and you have to hit it deep enough to right field to get somebody to
This
move
is
up. Well,
true
these
too.
guys have absolute cannons from the outfield. Like, and who's on second base? Is Ty on second base or is Andrew Cook on second base? Like,
I hope you don't see this.
who's on second
I
base?
hope you don't
How
see
far
this.
do I need to hit the ball?
His legs were
I
long.
hope you don't see this. Wait. All right, look, hold up now. I gotta stop you right here. See, now I gotta stop you dead in your tracks. What is a 6'7" individual doing swinging a 31-inch bat in college?
Hey, I'm just letting the
That's
kid
what
be the kid.
I need to know, man. But anyway, then we go. I know we took a step back, but I ain't never seen that day in my life.
Hey, we only had
You
134, and look, we had 134 piece, and we used it in BP. We passed it around.
I mean, hey, I'll never forget. We had the Ken Griffey tee, and I walked in one day, and Gregory reversed it.
Hey, Gregory was hitting
And
opposite.
he was hitting opposite, and I was like, well, maybe that, just don't say anything to him.
Man.
He just hits.
Hey,
Just don't
but
say. Don't
But
coach
little
him.
did we
What can
know,
you say to
man,
him?
he
What
he
could
was
you say
ahead
to
of the
him?
curve.
He was way ahead of.
Well, he was ahead of the curve, but in no way, shape, or form would I ever teach that swing to anybody that he had. But it just hit, right?
Oh my God.
It just found ways to
Yep.
barrel up balls. You know, he the pulse that he had in the batter's box. Like, now that I'm older and now recruiting pro guys, you're like, that guy doesn't even breathe hard in the batter's box. That guy doesn't panic.
Mhm.
Gregory never panicked. Like, there was nothing inside him that made him freak out during an at bat. But
I tell you when he
I would
panicked.
not teach that swing to anybody.
I tell you when he panicked, when that average started to creep slowly under 400, he started to panic a little
Under
bit. So I
Yeah,
second
we're
that.
talking about 400.
Hey, this
I
no.
know.
I got to speak on this. The people gonna like it. Yeah, it wasn't really no post, but it wasn't really no big time situational hits. I'm just keep it a buck. That's just what it is.
look, look.
Do I need to do
You
a
have
call
to
in?
coach the individual. You have to give the individual player the best opportunity for success.
All right, so you'll probably know this very well because this is a question I get all the time, and honestly, I probably could have asked Gregory to his face. I communicate with him today, but how is it that someone let you take Gregory's name out of it? Let's just say a hitter. How is it that a hitter could hit 400 with the metal bat, but then only hit 240, 220 ish with the wood bat? Like, what happened in his career move? And I know you say you wouldn't teach that swing today. And again, it's no knock to the player. This dude hit 400. I want to be clear to everybody on this podcast and everybody else listening when I post this. This dude hit 400. He was an absolute animal in the box. It was only two people I think that hit that year. It was him and Dustin Ackley. So them dudes raked. I don't care what my roommates on both sides of Joe say here. He could swing it, but I was just curious why his career came to such a halt. Because all I remember him being was
Didn't
a
he hit
force in the
400
box.
twice?
Okay, so
Yes.
Three times.
Three times. Yeah, he was the only. Him and Dustin Ackley, the only guys that did it 3 times in a row.
It's crazy.
So let's. I don't want to make Alex mad if he ever was to listen to it. But let's be honest. Most of the damage. It's a scary thought, but most of the damage for hitters comes pull in the air.
Mm-hmm.
That's where damage occurs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's where most success occurs. If you can pull the ball in the air, Alex Gregory couldn't pull the ball in the air.
It was all in the jet stream over there by the rugby field.
So there's number one, your issue. There's pro guys like that, okay, that we're trying to get to pull the ball in the air. Now, that's a dangerous concept, right? So I've been in the cage before, and a data guy has literally walked up to a prospect and said, you need to pull the ball in the air more. And I got upset. I told the guy, I said, look, tell me, I'm not going to tell the kid, but just tell me that the data is saying this and that the average major leaguer pulls the ball in the air this much. And because players want to know what they need to do to get to the big leagues. Okay. So if your average, let's say the average exit velocity in the big leagues is 90 miles per hour, and the lowest guy in the big leagues is averaging 85. If you're averaging 80, there's no track for you to get there. Like and you may say I'm getting hits, but I'm telling you that there's nobody in the big leagues that hits the ball on average 80 miles an hour. So right there, go, oh my God, like this is real. Like the numbers are real. And to be able to tell a hitter, look,
you don't fit the bill.
We're going to work on the pull side. I'm going to teach you how to get behind the baseball. But when somebody that doesn't know how to coach just says, hey, pull the ball in the air more, that can derail your career in a week, right? Absolutely. You won't be able to take BP. You'll be swinging and missing on everything. The outer half gets exposed. Look, Ackley, look at Gregory, for example. Can't pull the ball in the air. So that means go in, right? You go in. Well, the Big South pitchers didn't have enough stuff to get in. So they just keep leaving the ball out over the plate right where he wants the baseball because they can't go in. They don't have enough velocity to get in there. Now, you see Ackley's 400, that's a different animal.
Correct.
He's facing ACC arms every single day. That's a little bit different animal. That gets in the same thing of scouting. The hitter at Radford versus the hitter at Texas A&M, man, they're, we've got big leaguers at Radford. We had big leaguers. But to see guys do it against that level of competition at that age, that's still a big jump, Ty, from him playing in the Big South to going to professional baseball. It's a big jump.
I believe it. I just was always curious about that. And like you said, being able to go poolside versus, him just staying inside and going the other way. I see it a ton. I just was curious your take on it, your thoughts. Because me, high school coach, right? We have these rounds where we're just like, hey, I just want you to work backside. I don't want to fill the hitter's head up with stuff that's not necessary for him. Like, cause I'm opposite of the two dudes on the screen. Like I think they really talked about middle backside last time, and I'm kind of opposite. Like I absolutely want someone to be on time and hammer the ball into left field early on in the count. I don't want you to miss hit something. I don't want you to foul it back. So, or hit it the other way.
Well,
that is.
All right. You ready? Reggie's gonna fall off the couch when I say this.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's comfortable.
That's like the same couch we had at the apartment.
It sure do.
I think you should teach a hitter how to pull the ball before you go oppo.
All right, I'll see y'all later.
That's natural, coach. What you
See,
talking
that's the
about?
problem. Why don't you ask me why? Why don't you? So why you just right there? You're just no.
No, but that's why I said I was
He said-
different than
he
them
said,
two.
"Give me
That's
a
why
chance to
that's my take
explain
was
myself."
because if my example last week when we were on this segment, and I haven't posted, so you didn't get a chance to hear it, but like my example was, I have a lot of guys who, if I just sit there and harp on them going backside with the ball, they're late with their foot time and they're in the parking lot with foul balls a ton. Like, why would I teach someone that if they're in the parking lot with their ball when I could tell them to hammer it in your 2-1, your 2-0, your 0-0? I want them to really be on time and get after it with the swing. And if so, if the result is a deep fly ball to left, I'm satisfied with that. If you're satisfied with the fly ball into right, is that really a good swing? And yes, maybe you stay on some of the off speed later on in the game, but I just think that you feel better in the box if I go hammer off on the ball early in the count, pull side. It's just I just feel like that's better for what I would teach my high school kids. But you know,
If now when you say pull side, I'm talking
the alley. I'm not talking about down the line or no shit like that.
well, whatever it may be. You're talking about staying behind the ball. You're talking about straight ball flight with line drive to loft. Okay,
Correct.
Because that's
Thank
what
you.
it's supposed to
I
be
can
on the
agree
pull
with that.
side.
Correct.
Right?
No hook stuff. No hook stuff.
But the problem is that to do that, you have to have space with your hips and your lower half. It's the same space that you need to have with the outer half. Okay? It's not rotating off the ball. It's staying behind the ball and keeping it fair. And now letting the ball get deeper, learning how to pull, and then the outer half of the plate becomes a byproduct of learning how to pull. Okay? Where I think Ty's trying to, I know where you're going, Ty. It's when you sit there and say backside, 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 then the hitter becomes lazy with their lower half, very linear in every one of their moves, and they push the ball to the backside of the field. And then you realize why guys can't hit hanging breaking balls and why guys can't hit a ball middle in because they're losing space because they've been drilled going oppo. And I know you're laughing because you're like, every hitter I've ever coached laughs at me now because they're like, what happened to the power backside ground ball? I said, they're real. They are real. But I really do believe if you learn how to pull the baseball the right way, then all you're doing is letting the ball get a touch deeper because your swing should be the same. You're going to rotate for the ball in the outer half just like you're going to rotate for the ball in the inner half. So if you're going to rotate the same, the ball just gets deeper.
Pushes.
That's how guys have power on the pitch away. Raf, why do you think you became a better hitter? You didn't become a better hitter because you became more linear. You let the better hitter became when you drove the ball to left center field. You were still rotating the same. Your swing wasn't
I don't
changing.
agree with that. I do agree with the rotation, but I don't agree with that.
With what?
That my swing was the same. The swing wasn't the same. Because the guy that I came to Radford as, I was a heavy rotational guy. I was on top of the plate. I'm going to pull you out of the park. I'm going to pull you in the gap. I'm going to do everything I can to pull you, period. Right? And, you know.
No, you were a heavy rotational shoulder guy,
Oh, no,
not
it was
lower half.
It was both. No, I understand.
Don't get the two. There's two of them. Don't get confused on them.
And you're right. But I would do both. Right. And that was a piece of my swing that for so long I couldn't unlock after I had the hand injury. So I couldn't remember what I was doing. But in high school, that was my theory. All my theory was, okay, how fast can you swing? Like I got the book right to my side by me. I got
We know you
stay
got
with a book.
Boy,
Right. Everything was rotation. It was
Hey,
figuring
bro.
out how fast could I get myself to rotate. But what I realized when I got to school, when I had to start opening up the entire field, when I was hitting balls to right, every ball that when I hit balls to left, all the balls that I was hitting, they would do like this off the bat, because my barrel was sliding off the ball, because my hands were still taking a path toward right field, but I'm hitting the ball to left. Like I had that much barrel control, but my ball wasn't going anywhere because it had more action like this than like this. So the difference, yeah. No, not push.
You push.
Not push. It was just a slide. It was just open up. But I could keep my barrel back long enough to catch it at that angle. As long as you catch the ball at the right angle, it's gonna go in that direction. And
your hands.
I'm going to ask
your hands
you
they
guys.
kept going this way.
There's a clip.
Hands. Not
I
your
wish
hands.
I had the picture. There's a clip of Pete Alonso that
Mhm.
I had in my batting cage. And if you looked at this clip, I'd ask a player and I'd say, okay, the ball was right on the bat or right like 5 feet off the bat. And I said, where's this ball going? And every one of them, even their parents, would say, center field or right center or right field. Okay, good. So I said, analyze the picture more. And they realized he didn't have a helmet on. And there was an umpire with no equipment, right? It was home run derby. And I said, he didn't hit a ball oppo in home run derby.
No, he was blasting things.
So they said, but why is his chest and why is everything look like it's on right center field? And I said, look at his lower half. His lower half was wide open. And my point was to them, and I want you guys to do this with a hitter, but they got to really control it. Ask them to pull the ball with their lower half and hit the ball the other way with their upper half.
I wasn't able to do that though. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And
exactly.
you were later on in your career. Yes. But it's real because most time when you go oppo, you're just shifting your weight. You're shifting into and you're not really always rotating the right way. When you look at guys that really hit, they rotate, but how long can they keep their chest on the baseball? Even if they're rotating, and that's where the separation and that's where the power is created. It's a tough feel. And when they're not strong enough, they definitely can't do it. But when they get, that's why you always tell a hitter, better get your glutes stronger, better get your core stronger, because that's the real part of it. So your body can do that and hold itself.
Man, you hit something. I think that's probably one of the hardest fields for guys to understand. I really, really do. But for that reason, that's exactly why I prefer to teach guys to go backside, because you can't go backside hard with your chest off the baseball. And just my personal belief, I think because hitting is a rotational act. You can't deny that. You can't have a swing without rotation. Naturally, everybody pulls the baseball harder than what they do to the backside. That's why the data is what the data is. Put the ball in the air, pull side, because that's where you're going to do all your damage. But there's such a fine science to being able to drive the ball backside that tells us its true power. Just for the simple fact that the barrel, pulling a baseball, the barrel picks up so much more momentum and speed on the pull side. It doesn't have time to do that on the backside when you're dropping the ball backside.
I've heard a really good hitting coach tell me one time that tell a hitter to try pulling the outside pitch to the other side of the field, to the back side of the field.
Hey, man.
Not to the pull side. To that side of the field. Let the ball get deep enough to where you're still rotating like you're trying to pull the ball, but the ball gets deep enough. You'll notice a lot of times when guys are hitting balls away, they're almost like byproducts of that really good turn. And that's I'm not saying I would teach pull the ball first on every hitter. I would, there's some guys I ask to hit the ball to the top of the net. There's some guys I ask to hit the ball on the ground. You have to work in extremes to get them to feel something.
Good. Reggie, you had one more point. I'm sure Coach touched on it, but I know you wanted to talk about the shift. There was a good segue point in there probably about 20 minutes ago. You missed that window, my boy.
Yeah, I mean, MLB, they're going away from the shift. They're eliminating the shift. start next season. Uh, you like it? You dislike it? You think it'll be good for the game? Give me your thoughts.
I dislike it.
Okay.
I think you should be able to play wherever you want to inside those lines. But I think it'll be good for the game because there needs to be more action in the game. There needs to be more hits. There needs to be, there's just, I think it's going to put into play guys that control the bat, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think the ball the bat skills will really come back into play. Um, look, I mean, sample sizes of guys in professional baseball, like you hear like the idiotic comments of, well, just like my buddies on text message, why can't he just beat the shift? I'm like, oh, okay, like he's supposed to go off of Jacob DeGrom, and he's supposed to just like push the ball the other way as he's got 100 miles an hour with ride on the fastball. Like it's that easy just to pepper the ball like that. No, I think the shift, guys want to hook it right in the shift and play the shift. It's I don't know.
The game will continue to evolve, right? So, do you think that there will be a method, I'm talking defensively, that teams could still utilize some sort of shift with their positioning?
Well, in double A last year, we played with those rules halfway through the year. So we had to keep two guys on each side of the field, and they had to be on the dirt. Okay. And yeah, I mean, you can go back and look at Carlos Cortez's numbers, who's played at South Carolina. He got better in the second half of the year. I mean, he's a guy that hit the balls in the 4-hole on the right side of the field and pulled the ball on the ground a ton. His numbers got better. Everybody's numbers got better. There was more scoring. So I think that's what the game needs. The game, it needs more offense.
Need some love. What do you think about this electronic umpire? What's your take on that? I saw something yesterday where a guy like tapped his helmet because he was like arguing the call. It sucked for the umpire, but I would love it as a hitter if I could circle back. I remember one time in the game, one of the umpires told me, he was just like, "Hey, I fucked you there, Ty." And I remember looking at you, and I was just like, "Man, this motherfucker." It was Stallings, like I actually coached his kid later, and I was just like, "Man, this dude screwed me." And you had my back in some way, but it couldn't take that K back though. So what do you think about the electronic umpire system they have?
I feel bad for the umpires. I feel bad. We used it a couple of times in spring training a couple of years ago, and there were some balls that were called way off the plate, and the umpire went strike. Like, because it was in his ear where it said strike, and he just knew it. Like, it's not a strike. But I think it'll be a ton better than that. But I don't know. These guys, you know what? There's so much money involved. It's the same way they want just the calls to get right and be right. If technology makes it better, then so be it. I'm not. I'm not going to. As good as social media, as bad as social media is for people, it's also provided us a lot more information than we've ever had. So I think if we can get the calls right, then good for us.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess it's my go. It shouldn't take you too long. You hit on a lot of really good stuff, but I'm just curious for my world, maybe Reggie's world too. I don't know much about that. I don't even know if he's Central Time or Pacific Time. I don't know what the hell you are out there, Ref. But for where we live, let's say you go to a game, Coach. All right, so you're at a game, Morbito, right? You go watch the guy you picked up this past year. I don't know if y'all know the kid or if you ever seen the kid play before outside of coach who picked him up, but dude sticks, right? So you go watch a kid play. Most kids are under the impression that they got to really perform when someone's in the stands. And the reality is, you guys pop up to watch a kid play. You go to the game to watch him play with the understanding that he's probably not going 4 for 4 with 4 jimmies, right? So he's not going to hit 4 home runs, or he's not going to be 4 for 4 with 4 singles or 4 doubles or whatever it may be. He very well may be 0 for 4. So what are you looking for outside of the physical that can really help a kid out? Because the kid feels like there's a lot of pressure on him when someone is in the stands. And I know that there really isn't that much pressure on him. Now that I'm older, I know that that's the truth. But when I was younger, you couldn't tell me anything. It was like, oh my gosh, there's people in the stands. Like, I got to do this and I got to do that. You get depressing. You can't play the game that way. So what are you looking for character-wise? Because physical is not going to be there. What do you look for?
My cross-checker saw Morabito 3 times with me and saw him hit. The 3 hits he saw him were 3 6-hole wrap-around ground balls. Saw him flare the ball a few times. One batting practice, my scouting director came in and I was gone. I went to another game and he just called me. He goes, just watch them take BP, and they had to move the cars in the parking lot. Next day, we brought in one of our VPs came in and said he didn't leave the park one time. Like, so one day he's showing 70 power and the next day he's showing 45 power.
Right.
One of the things that I want to look at swing decisions.
Okay.
I want to look if they control the strike zone. If they're swinging at strikes and taking balls, as elementary as that may be, that's the only shot you have of playing in professional baseball is if you control the strike zone. And other than that, you want them to play hard, because I don't think that's a switch that can just be flipped on and off. You want to see how athletic they are. You want to see if they compete. And when I mean compete, just play the game the right way. It's not, it's just that they're serious about their work. You watch them in the cage and you watch them go to the field and they're just serious about their work. You can tell those guys that are different versus the guys that want to just sit around and talk shop in the dugout. These guys want to get their work in and then they talk shop. It's not the other one in front of that one. You want to see how they handle at bats. You want to see how they run the bases. You want to see how they play defense, because that's been thrown out the window. It's all about the bat is the driver of this player, and it's about arm strength, and it's about power, and it's about the bat. And I have a cross checker that I love to death. He's older, and he still thinks that there's 3 parts to the baseball game, just like I do. You better play defense. You better be able to run the bases, and you better
I guess I was
be
ahead
able
of the
to
curve
take
too.
good solid at bats.
Shoot, boy ain't playing no defense.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But you want to see guys. 4 for 4 doesn't mean anything. So you guys know this. What do you say to your kid when you first see him after a weekend? How'd you do? I was 6 for 11 with, and I said, I can care less with I can care less. Okay. Tell me, did you strike the ball well? Did you chase? Did you feel like you were swinging at the wrong pitches? What, no, they want to show you numbers and averages. And you're like, and now even batting averages don't even matter. That's not indicative of a good hitter.
Boy.
A guy hits 400 with no doubles. That's not indicative to a good hitter.
Hey, we're going to put this on Twitter.
I'm going to say it because they need to know. If you 3 for 4, taking pride in it. 3 singles, all infield hits, and you strutting around talking about your batting average, bro, you're not that good. No, no.
Shit, give me them
said-
tickets. I don't care.
We said,
what
I'm
y'all
gonna take
talking
them
about.
knocks. I need them, Lord. Those I need them.
Hey, give me those
I don't
three
even
hits. One
respect
up the middle, two
I
on
don't
the
even
4 hole.
respect the double down the pull side line anymore. I'm talking about the one that's going through the infield at lower levels. Cause it don't take much. It don't take much to beat a bad defensive third baseman with a little dribbler over third base and you standing on two. I'm sorry.
Hey, Raph, I'm gonna be on second, get my 70 on. Fuck what you talking about.
You just want to be.
I'm on the.
You want to be able to do. You want to be able to do it all right. You want to be able to have all the bat skills, control the strike zone, and impact the ball when you need to impact the ball. And you want to be able to use the big part of the field. They're basic approaches. But if you sit there and hit 400, okay, and you only hit singles and don't walk and strike out, what is that? You still need to for your offense to score. Guys need to get to scoring position.
Shit, I did my job. I got
I did
mine.
my job.
Shoot. Y'all better get some hits too.
But yeah, I mean, and you preaching on that one. And like I said, I would say that to guys all the time. You got big guys in the lineup taking pride on hitting singles. I can't do nothing if you clogging up the damn bases. You stalling up the offense.
Hey, I used to give y'all hell because I think I had like 4 home runs before y'all had any. I would always call y'all out, knowing damn well my shit went south after that. I was like, man, I got 4. Gregory and Turner, y'all got 1 or 2. Me and King holding it down at the top. And then that was it. I think I just finished with that. I'm not even going to ask my next one because I just feel like the next one would take us so far in the midnight that I don't even want to go there. So I'm not gonna close it out just yet, but I'm gonna give each one of y'all a chance. I'm gonna put you on like a 60-second window, Coach. 60 seconds, as fast as you can answer. I just want you guys to just ask him a question. It could be anything, you know. I think he a Kenny Chesney dude, but you can ask him his favorite artist. You could ask him something he can fire off and answer quick. I'm gonna insert this into some of our segments. And
Careful, boys.
nah, they're not.
Careful.
They ain't gonna ask you. Look, it's impromptu because I'm catching them off guard with this one, but they ain't gonna ask you nothing crazy. No,
Yeah, you are.
It's just really getting to know the man. So just ask him something quick.
You want me to go first?
I'll put a counter on it.
Go ahead, Raph.
All right. So
Yeah, absolutely.
tell me
I gotta
this:
think on mine.
with the dire need for offense, better athletes in the game, why aren't there more black athletes in professional baseball? You got 60 seconds. You're on the clock.
God.
I think travel baseball,
Yeah, we
the
had 50.
cost of travel baseball has hurt it. It's something that needs to be corrected. And truthfully, the game's boring. So like you know, I mean, I know this. I watch my son play. I would much rather go watch him play a basketball game than him play a baseball game. And here I am, you know, a baseball guy. Like there's not a ton of activity, and there's people don't know how to run practices, and you know, it's the worst youth sport there is when it comes to coaching, in my opinion, and how to keep kids active and teach them the right way to do things. And, you know, instead of putting infielders in a line and one ground ball, and then the next he takes 5 more minutes till he comes back up again when he should have had 20 in that 5-minute period. But I think the cost of travel baseball has hurt it. There's no question.
Hey man, baseball can be kind of boring too, man. Like it's just for the athlete.
That's all good, right? It's your question.
You know,
It's your question.
like, basketball, they run it back.
Reggie
Hey,
stalling.
hey, no, man, no. Look, Coach, this is what I want to know, man. In if it was the right situation, right? Like, just looking ahead, if the right situation came around, would would you get back into college coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I like scouting. Uh, I I hope to make an impact in our organization. I want to make sure we're signing former or future big leaguers, and um, but my passion's always been on the field. It's never really been in an office. It's always been in the dirt with the players. And I view myself as like, I've heard this. Somebody told me that I was a dirt. I should be back on the field. I'm a dirt bag. Well, you know what? I'm just happy to be in baseball. I can affect players with doing lessons. Could I get back on the field? Yeah, I don't know, college, pro. I don't. One thing I've realized, and I think you guys are starting to realize it, is you can't script anything. Okay, you just work as hard as you can, and you follow your dreams, and you do as much as you can with what you can help people with. And if that means that I'm on field coaching college, great. If it means I'm, an area scout for the next 20 years, great. If it means I'm a national cross checker, who cares? Just trying to do my job the best I can. But yeah, I obviously miss my players. Yeah.
Okay. So,
hey, you made a huge impact on us. We talk about it all the time. Even though you used to chew us out on the field, and we used to go back to the living room and talk to you. Appreciate all you did.
Fuck you. This will be my last question. Give me some advice. I'm a coach now. I've always really been a coach. Kind of wish I had the opportunity right outside of school, but that's neither here nor there. I'm a coach now. Give me some advice. What's the best way I can manage my time as a coach? Where should I place my energy into helping kids get better?
It's a wide.
It is, but you.
Yeah, it's very.
Anyway, go ahead.
Nah. No. Well, if
you mean in practice,
it could be anywhere. Where would you spend your time helping affect change in the game as a coach? Because you were once one. Y'all won. I don't know. I think it was Brad's team. Y'all hoisted a trophy.
I would be do the best I can to develop leaders and practice the right way. Practice with intent, be organized. One of the things I do over again, and I started to do it later on in my career, was to meet with the team prior with the board in the dugout. We had a roller board where I can go through the practice plan and describe exactly what we were trying to do and why for those things. In the high school, Ty, it's really hard to make a hitter better in the middle of their high school season.
Right. So off season.
Yeah. Because I told the Radford coaches one day, because all they want to do is talk hitting. I was like, dude, that swing that you're getting is not going to change when you're giving them 3 rounds of 5 in the batting cage. Like there's no shot. So teach them how to do cuts and relays. Teach them where to be on the field. Teach them how to hold runners. Teach them the little things of the game that when they get to college, they're advanced on, because their athleticism is going to take over. But where do all these kids falter? They all falter because they don't know where to be. They don't know how to take an at bat. They don't know how to bunt. They don't know how to. The pitchers don't know how to hold a runner. They don't know how to execute a pitch. They got good stuff. They don't know how to execute a pitch. Just to teach them execution and what you want out of those things.
Cool. Noted. I appreciate that. Well, I appreciate you jumping on the call with us. Like I said, you impacted, or as Reggie alluded to, you impacted our lives, because we still talk to you a decade later.
Well, I don't, I think it works the other way. So,
well,
and I know the 3 people that are going to listen to this or watch this.
Hey!
I'm joking.
What's shots?
but like I'm serious. Like it's more important for me to be able to have this than anything. So I mean, you three guys. I mean, you were there when I started there, and here we are, right? And I wouldn't have it any other way. You're three of my favorite players, and you all gave me a headache at some point in my career, and I can, I don't really even think about those things,
Yep. Well,
that's the funny part about it. The players always say, "Damn coaches, remember when coach did this? Remember when coach did that?" I got something on all you guys too, but you guys never wanted to admit that one.
Sure do.
yeah, we screwed up a lot, but yeah, we're not going to admit it.
$5,000 later. Wow.
Jeez. Yeah, my kids aren't gonna know that I screwed nothing up. They look at me like I'm Superman in here. So all they gonna know is the part I edited where you was talking about plate discipline. I'm gonna take that shit right out of this podcast.
My daddy ain't never struck out. I don't know what you talking about.
How about the day that we were relaying pitches at Winthrop, and we had the ESPN game where the guy was relaying the pitches and Ty kept swinging at him in the dirt.
Yep, swinging at them cheeks in the dirt every time. I was like, man, hey, I think I still was 2 for 5, so I don't give a shit what y'all are talking about. I think Reggie still got that DVD. I told him to burn that shit.
That.
Nah, I went off.
I need that, please.
Got off that game. That's locked up somewhere.
Nah, it won't make it there.
And you know what? One of the things, Ty, is if a kid works hard and he does what you ask, don't ever give up on him. And it brings me to Reggie's brother. You look at that like, man, he was bad for 3 years. Like, he was bad. He didn't know how to play. Like, he couldn't do anything right. And
Kept showing up.
all of a sudden, he got his opportunity in his senior year, and I think,
Let's go, Mike.
man,
My bad.
that was awesome that what he did, But he showed up every day.
Cool little story.
Yeah, we'll get your brother on here one day. He'll talk about the disastrous 3 years. He'll be going to town on Joe over here.
I know, right? Yep.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna kill the recording.
All right, fellas.